We have a few things coming up I want to let you know about. This Thursday, the 29th at 7 o'clock, Robert Mueller will be joining us. He's an author and historian, and he'll be talking to us about the Battle of the Bulge, which is the largest battle from World War II. And his focus is the forgotten heroes. And Robert, if you've seen it before, he does kind of a deep research dive into the soldiers, and he will have letters and about some of the soldiers who fought and some of their lives before they went to war, and for the ones who were fortunate enough to go home, their lives after the war. So it's always not just about the battle, but about the people who actually fought it. So he's a great speaker. So mark your calendars for that. And next month's Arts Alive concert is on August 22nd at 2 o'clock, and we're having the Shamrock Ragsters back. Now, the Ragsters are fantastic. They usually come to us around St. Patrick's Day because they do a lot of Irish music. But because of COVID, they haven't traveled. But now they're giving virtual concerts. So they're going to bring their very eclectic and just fun music. It's kind of a combination between American folk music and Irish. They combine bluegrass, Dixieland, and the Irish music. It's a 5-piece band with a vocalist, and they're so energetic and they're very entertaining. And I encourage you to sign up for that. And you can do that again by just going online like you did for today's concert and signing up for the free tickets. So now we can get on to today's concert, which I know you're going to enjoy. We have Rick Pickren with us, and he's going to be performing Stars and Stripes, which is very appropriate because July is our country's birthday month. So he has a whole repertoire of patriotic songs, some official state songs, and he's given hundreds of concerts all over the area, all kinds of venues, churches, colleges, senior centers, other libraries. He's a very busy man. We were just discussing. Also, maybe you'll recognize him because he's an actor and he's been in some movies and TV shows. So maybe he'll look familiar to you. And some of his music has been recorded and used in TV shows. So I think we have a treat in store for us. So please welcome Rick Pickren. Take it away, Rick.
Thank you very much, Janet. So happy to be here today. My program, The Stars and Stripes, as Janet mentioned, is a patriotic program and certainly apropos for the month of July. I perform this program throughout the year, of course, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Flag Day, or any time that we want to hear these well-known and beloved patriotic songs. I invite you to sing along on any, and I know you're going to know many of these. And a patriotic program should begin with our national anthem. Oh, oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. In 1903, songwriter George M. Cohan had a chance meeting with a veteran of the Civil War. The old veteran had with him a tattered American flag, and George asked him about the significance of the particular flag. And the vet said, "She's a grand old flag. She was worth fighting for." Well, George being a songwriter, it didn't take him long to sit down and write "You're a Grand Old Flag." Now I'm going to perform that in a mini medley with another well-known patriotic song that George wrote. You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue, and with never a boast or brag. Yet should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the old grand flag. Well, I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy, a Yankee Doodle do or die, a real life cousin to my Uncle Sam, born on the 4th of July. I've got a Yankee Doodle sweetheart, she's my Yankee Doodle joy. Yankee Doodle went to London just to ride a pony. I am a Yankee Doodle boy. You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue, and with never a boast or brag. Yet should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the old grand flag. Just keep your eye on the old grand flag. Keep your eye on the old grand flag. A movie was made of George M. Cohan's life in 1944, and it starred Jimmy Cagney as George M. Cohan. Now, many folks, when they went to the movie theater, were, well, I guess you would say, mighty surprised to see Jimmy Cagney, whom they associated with bad guys, mobsters, gangsters, up there playing George M. Cohan and singing and dancing up a storm. Well, as they were to find out, Jimmy Cagney came from a vaudeville family. He began performing with his sister in an act with his parents as well on vaudeville at the age of 12. And he danced. So he was a hoofer of the highest order. Now, when Jimmy Cagney was asked which role was his favorite role to play, invariably he answered George M. Cohan. But he added, playing those gangsters and mobsters and bad guys was some of the most fun I ever had. Well, here's a song everybody can sing. This land is your land. This land is my land. California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking a ribbon of highway, I saw above me an endless skyway. I saw below me a golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking my freedom highway. Nobody living can make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. When I perform my patriotic program, I always honor our veterans. And the way that I do that is by singing a medley of the Armed Forces service songs. Now, when I perform this live, what I like to do to honor our veterans is if there are any veterans in the audience, as we sing that particular Armed Forces service song, I ask them to stand or raise their hand. And furthermore, if someone in the audience has a family member, a son, daughter, grandson, whatever, who has served or is serving in that branch, to raise their hand or stand as well. So obviously we can't do that today, but if you have served in the particular branch, we are honoring your service to our country. Now I'm going to start with the Army, primarily because I have two sons who have served in the Army. One is still serving. And when I was a kid, we learned the Army song in grade school. And it was in our songbook, and it was The Caissons Go Rolling Along, which was the artillery song. It's been updated a bit since then to include all the various factions of the Army. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the Army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the Army goes rolling along. And it's hi, hi, hey, the Army's on its way. Shout out the kids loud and strong, for where'er we go, you will always know that the Army goes rolling along. The Marines, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines. The Navy, stand Navy out to sea. Fight is our battle cry. We'll never change our course, so vicious, oh steer shy. Roll out the TNT, anchors away. Sail on to victory and sink their bones to Davy Jones, hooray. The Air Force, off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder, and boys, give them the gun. Down we dive, spouting our flames from under, off with one hell of a roar. For we live in fame or go down in flames, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. The U.S. Coast Guard. So here's the Coast Guard marching song. We sing on land or sea, through surf or storm or howling Jesus is our guide, our fame, our glory too. To fight, to save, or fight and die. High Coast Guard, we are for you. Our flag. Hooray for the flag of the free. May it wave as our standard forever. The gem of the land and the sea. The banner on the right. May despots remember the day when our fathers in mighty endeavor proclaimed as they marched to the fray that by their might and by their right it waves forever. That by their might and by their right it waves forever. Thank you to all of our veterans and veterans families for their service to our country. Now, that last march is not one of the Armed Forces service songs. It may sound familiar to you. You'll usually hear either a marching band or a concert band perform it. You'll rarely hear it sung. And it was composed by the Marine Corps band leader, John Philip Sousa. It's probably his most well-known march, The Stars and Stripes Forever. And he wrote the lyric as well. When I was a kid, we sang a bit of a different lyric to that same melody. You may be familiar with it. It went like this. Be kind to your web-footed friend. She might be somebody's mother. Well, I can assure you, John Philip Sousa did not write that lyric, and I found out that it is from a Warner Brothers cartoon starring Daffy Duck. When I was a fairly young kid, my father's younger brother, my Uncle David, by quite a few years, decided not to follow his big brother into the Marine Corps, but instead he joined the Army, and he became part of an elite group called the Green Beret. Now, as a kid, I thought this was the most fantastic thing in the world because you got to jump out of airplanes. How exciting. Well, I learned that they were jumping out of planes at about 1,500 feet above the jungle canopy on what they call a static line, meaning as each man jumps out of the plane, their parachute will open automatically one after another. And the idea, of course, is to make sure that all the men come down in the same area and stay in the air as short a time as possible, because, of course, the longer they were in the air, the more danger they were in. Well, he came back home safely from his tour of duty. And around that time, maybe a couple of years after that, amidst all the protests about Vietnam, there was a song, an unlikely song that made the top 10 on the pop charts. It was written by a Green Beret sergeant named Barry Sadler, and it's called The Ballad of the Green Beret. Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, men who mean just what they say, the brave men of the Green Beret, silver wings upon their chest. These are men, America's best. 100 men will test today, but only 3 win the Green Beret. Trained to live off nature's land, trained in combat, hand to hand, men who fight both night and day, courage peak for the Green Beret. Silver wings upon their chest. These are men, America's best. 100 men will test today, but only 3 in the Green Beret. Back at home, a young wife waits. Her Green Beret has met his fate. He has died for those oppressed, leaving her his last request. Put silver wings on my son's chest. Make him one of America's best. He'll be a man they'll test one day. Have him win the Green Beret. The brave men of the Green Beret. Well, this next patriotic song is a little lighter in tone. It was written by an Arkansas school teacher by the name of Jimmy Driftwood. And he was trying and failing, in his opinion, to teach American history to his students. So he thought, well, I play guitar and I sing a bit, so I'm going to write some songs that have history in them. Well, he wrote a whole batch of them, and it must have worked because a number of his songs found their way to a producer at RCA Victor by the name of Chet Atkins, and he got a number of them recorded. Eddie Arnold had recorded one, and this one was recorded by a guy named Johnny Horton, who was fairly well known on the country and western charts at that time, and it became a big hit on those charts in 1959, and it became so popular it became a #1 hit on the pop charts as well. It's about the final battle in the War of 1812. The song is called The Battle of New Orleans. Now, Jimmy had a wonderful gift for turning a phrase, and he had a wonderful sense of humor. If you've ever heard this song, well, you'd never forget it because it has such a catchy chorus. In 1814, we took a little trip along Colonel Jackson down the mighty Mississippi. We took a little bacon and we took a little beans, and we fought the bloody British in the town of New Orleans. Fired our guns and the British kept it coming. Wasn't as many as there was a while ago. Fired once more, they began to run down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Well, we look down the river and we see the British come. There must have been 100 of them beating on the drum. They stepped so high and they made the bugles ring. We stood beside our cottontails and didn't say a thing. We fired our guns and the British kept it coming. Wasn't as many as there was a while ago. Fired once more, they began to run it down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Well, old Hickory said we could take them by surprise if we didn't fire muskets till we looked them in the eyes. We held our fire till we see the faces well. We opened up our squirrel guns and really gave them. Well, we fired our guns and the British kept it coming. Wasn't as many as there was a while ago. Fired once more, they began to run it down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Well, they ran through the briars and they ran through the brambles and they ran through the bush where the rabbits couldn't go. Ran so fast that the hounds couldn't catch them down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. We fired our cannon till the barrel melted down. Then we grabbed an alligator and we fought another round. Stuffed his head with cannonballs, powdered his behind. When we took the powder off, the gator lost his mind. Fired our guns and the British kept it coming. Wasn't as many as there was a while ago. Fired once more, they began to run down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Well, we marched back to town in her dirty ragged pants. Danced all night with the pretty gals from France. Couldn't understand them, but they had the sweetest charms. We understood them better when we got them in our arms. Fired our guns and the British kept them coming. Wasn't as many as there was a while ago. Fired once more as they began to run it down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Well, they ran to the briars and they ran to the brambles and they ran to the bush where the rabbits couldn't go. Ran so fast that the hounds couldn't catch them down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. The Battle of New Orleans. Our national anthem was official in 1931. That's when Congress ratified it. Up until that time, incidentally, of course, it was written during the War of 1812 by Francis Scott Key. But up until it was ratified, if you were at a patriotic event, you might sing the song that was considered our unofficial national anthem. I learned this in school, and you probably did as well. It's called My Country 'Tis of Thee, or sometimes just America. And the reason that it is not our official national anthem, or one of the main reasons, is that the lyric is sung to God Save the King. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. Let music swell the breeze and ring through all the trees, sweet freedom song. Let mourn tongues awake, let all that grieve partake. Let rocks their silence break, sound prolonged. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Here is our oldest patriotic song. It goes all the way back to 1776. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. He stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Yankee, you ever stop and wonder what that first verse is about? Well, I did, and I did a bit of research, and it turns out that that melody, Yankee Doodle, was a very popular dance melody in Great Britain at that time. The British soldiers and Navy all knew the tune, and many of the colonists knew the tune as well. It's said that a British naval surgeon wrote that first verse to mock the colonists and the militia. Yankee Doodle went to town. Yankee Doodle, the colonists, riding on a pony. They were shopkeepers and farmers, and they rode donkeys and ponies, mules, certainly not the thoroughbreds that the English officers rode. Stuck a feather. Well, the feather was most likely a wild turkey feather in his cap And the cap was not the tri-cornered hat that the Continental Army later wore, but it was like a little baseball cap that they wore, and stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Now that was the real puzzler. As it turns out, in Great Britain at that time, there was a men's club called the Macaroni Society, and the men would dress up in their finest clothing with their wigs, powdered, snuff boxes, so on and so forth. And you had to have a title to be in this club, a ward, a duke, or something or other. And they would wear hats that had all kinds of exotic bird feathers in them. So, of course, this naval surgeon thought that seeing these ragtag colonists ride around on their horses with feathers stuck in their cap, that he would make fun of them for trying to put on airs. Now, there are a lot of verses to Yankee Doodle, and I've chosen a few here that are all sung from the viewpoint of a young boy who has accompanied his father to the muster. Now, before I begin here, I want to adjust this just a little bit. There we go. Father and I went down to camp along with Captain Gooding. There we saw the men and boys as thick as hasty pudding. There was General Washington upon a slapping stallion, giving orders to his men. I guess there were a million. Yankee Doodle, keep it up. Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the gals be handy. Well, I saw a little barrel too, the heads were made of leather. They knocked on it with wooden clubs to call the men together. Then they fifed away like fun and played on cornstalk fiddles. Some had ribbons of ruby red all tied about their middle. Yankee Doodle, keep it up. Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the gals be handy. Now I can't tell, half I saw they kept up such a smother. I took my hat off and made a bow, then I scampered home to mother. Yankee Doodle, keep it up. Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the gals be handy. Yankee Doodle, keep it up. Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the gals be handy. Our oldest patriotic song. Incidentally, Yankee Doodle is one of our most well-known U.S. official state songs. Of course, one of the colonies would have that. Connecticut has it. When I do my patriotic program, I try to include a few of our really well-known official U.S. state songs, and I would put Yankee Doodle in the top 5, and I would put this next one in the top 5 as well. Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam and the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day, where the air is so pure and the zephyr so free, and the breezes are balmy and light, that I would not exchange my home on the range for all of the city so bright. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. That song was first recorded in 1931 by a fella that you may have heard of, Bing Crosby. It was very early on in his career, and it's said that he introduced thousands and thousands and thousands of people to that beautiful song, which was written by a man named Brewster Higbee, who was born and lived his life in the state of Kansas. Following World War II, the Kansas legislature reconvened, and someone mentioned that they did not have an official state song. And Home on the Range was nominated, and it was a unanimous vote. It's one of our, as I mentioned, one of our most well-known official state songs. Speaking of World War II, it was said to have been a favorite of FDR. And Bing Crosby, in 1944, when the war, it was late 43, early 44, when the war was at a crossroads for America and morale was, well, was pretty low. Bing Crosby teamed up with three sisters whose last name were Andrews, and they recorded a song which was a huge morale booster. Oh, give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in, let me ride the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in, let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please, don't fence me in. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I wanna ride to the ridge where the west commences, gaze at the moon till I lose my senses. I can't stand hobbles and I can't stand fences, so don't fence me in. I can't stand hobbles and I can't stand fences, so don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. I would vote this as our most beautiful patriotic song. It was written in 1893 by another school teacher, her name Catherine Lee Bates. And in the summer of 1893, she was going to go from her home state of Massachusetts way out to Colorado to teach summer school. She climbed on the train and she had to change trains in Chicago where there was some mighty big doings going on, the Chicago World's Fair, the Columbian Exhibition, and not only that, the two biggest stars in the world were performing in Chicago. Buffalo Bill Cody and Annie Oakley in the Congress of the Rough Riders. They were right across the way. They weren't part of the World's Fair, but it would have been a very exciting summer to be in Chicago. Well, Miss Bates went on her way, and while she was out in Colorado, she had an opportunity to go up Pikes Peak. And when she got to the top, she was deeply moved by the surrounding country. The prairies, the plains, the mountains, the endless blue sky. And when she finished her teaching and she got back on the train and headed home through the small towns and the big towns, she started to write down some ideas about America. And when she got home, she finished a poem and she called it America the Beautiful. The second verse she dedicates to those who made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of the country. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, even more than life. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years. Your alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America, the beautiful. Imagine a small town, maybe a village, and all the people that live there have got together to prepare a wonderful celebration for that moment when Johnny comes marching home. When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. The men will cheer and the boys will shout, the ladies, they will all turn out and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. The old church bell will peal with joy, hurrah, hurrah. Welcome home, our darling boy, hurrah, hurrah. The village lads and lassies say with roses they will strew the way and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. Ready for the Jubilee, hurrah, hurrah. We'll give the heroes 3 times 3, hurrah, hurrah. The laurel wreath is ready now to place upon his loyal brow. We'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. friendship on that day. Hurrah, hurrah, their choicest pleasures then display. Hurrah, hurrah, and let each one prepare some part to warm with joy the warrior's heart, and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. We'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. I've got one more official state song for you, and this one I might put in the #1 slot. Everybody knows it. Even kids today know this song, which goes back many, many years. I have a grandchild, and I have 3, but my daughter, while I was visiting recently, was singing this song to her 4-month-old baby girl. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. But when I woke, dear, I was mistaken, and I hung my head and I cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Told me once, dear, you'd always love me, and no one else could come between. But now you've left me for another. Oh, you've shattered all my dreams. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Well, that is the official state song of the state of Louisiana. And the man who wrote it, Jimmy Davis, was a popular songwriter and performer on the Louisiana Hayride, a radio show, which was in a few years to introduce a young fellow named Elvis Presley to America. Jimmy performed on that program for a number of years, and as his career was kind of winding down a little bit, the political leaders of Louisiana came to him and said, Jimmy, you're well known, you're well liked, and you're a good businessman. We think you should run for governor. And he did, and he won, not once, but twice. And after his second term, he retired, and the legislature voted unanimously for You Are My Sunshine as their state song. Well, here's an important patriotic song. As I get near the end here, I wanted to make sure I included. It goes all the way back to 1861. The poem was written by Judith Ward Howe, and I remember this being in our church hymnal when I was a kid. Occasionally we would sing it. And we certainly sang it in grade school as well, sometimes with some different lyrics. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He has loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. I've seen him in the watchfires of 100 certain camps, They have builded him an altar in the evening news and dance. I can read his righteous sentence in the dim and flaring lamps. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be quick, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant at my feet. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. His truth is marching on. The Battle Hymn of the Republic. In 1985, a song was written by a man named Lee Greenwood. Small towns, the big towns, the prairies, plains, mountains, and he started to write down some lyrics for a song that was to become God Bless the USA. Now, he was working on a new album that was to begin recording when he finished his tour. It wasn't a patriotic record at all, but he recorded the song, and his producer and everybody decided, the record company, that they would include it on the record anyway. And it was released, and it became an instant classic, and it's his signature song to this day. If tomorrow all the things were gone I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I'd thank my lucky stars to be living here today, for the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. For there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, from New York to LA, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time to stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. For there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. bless the USA. Thank you so much for tuning in today for this wonderful program of patriotic songs. I hope you've enjoyed them as much as I've enjoyed performing them for you. Let's finish up with Irving Berlin's classic, God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America. Thank you for tuning in. Back over to you, Janet.
Thank you, Rick. It was a great show. I mean, I can't believe I think I knew every single song. And I especially liked the story, though, about the Yankee Doodle Dandy and the macaroni. Who knew?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad I know what that means now. So thank you very much. I can speak for all of us. We all thoroughly enjoyed it. So we'll see you again, and have a good rest of your Sunday.